Only 4% of doctors come from a working class background. So where does that leave me? The inspiration for this video came from me seeing an Instagram post by the Social Mobility Foundation a couple of weeks ago, saying that you're 24 times more likely to become a doctor if one of your parents is a doctor. And that was really shocking to me, but honestly, I kind of knew that already. We know that lots of people who have doctors in the family go on to become doctors. But when I saw that 4% statistic in the BMJ, I was really shocked about that. So for some context, I do come from a working class background. I come from a single parent household, and I went to a state school for high school or secondary school. And then when I went to sixth form, I did end up going to a non-fee paying grammar school based on the grades that I got for my GCSEs. And I'm very grateful that I was able to go there because I met some amazing friends, and I do think that's part of the reason why I got into university. But it's just so upsetting to see that so few people like myself from working class backgrounds do end up being doctors. It's really important that we have representation of people from all social classes and all walks of life in medicine, because that's how ultimately we have a diverse cohort of doctors who can provide care to a variety of patients. And not only that, it's a really demoralising statistic for people to see, especially younger people who want to go to medical school and want to be doctors. It really makes it seem like it's very unlikely that you'll even get to that position, which is not the case. People from working class backgrounds are just as intelligent, just as driven, just as hardworking from people from any other background. But unfortunately, there's systemic barriers in place that put working class students off coming to medical school. And to be honest, I understand it. I think when I applied to medical school, I was really naive as to what medical school actually entailed and the financial aspects of medical school, the logistical aspects, not just of medical school, but beyond medical school when I will be practicing as a doctor, that I never even considered when I was applying. And to be honest, I don't think most 18-year-olds think that far into their future when they're applying to university, particularly medical school. I think I was just so caught up in the fact that I actually got into medical school and how difficult that was. You don't really have that much of an eye for the future. When I came to medical school, I thought it'd be easy to get a job after medical school, that I'd work where I wanted to work and progress how I wanted to progress. But we're seeing more and more that that's definitely not the case. I didn't consider how I would finance myself at university because I didn't have anyone in my family who had gone to university. I didn't have anyone to ask really about those experiences. It was kind of something that I just learned as I went along. As some of you might be watching this thinking that I'm really silly for not thinking about any of those things, but honestly, I was just thinking about pursuing a dream that I'd had since I was so young. You don't really think about the logistical aspects of it. And also I kind of thought, well, so many people have done it before me, surely I'll be fine. So some of the things that I didn't even consider when I was coming to medical school was the associated costs of travelling to placement. I didn't think about where I would be on placement. I didn't think about how much I'd be driving. I didn't think about how I'd get to placement. And obviously that is quite a big cost. And even having a car is a cost if it breaks down or if it needs any work doing to it. I didn't think about any of that. And one thing I definitely didn't know was how little funding I would get in my final year of university. I'll be doing a whole video about the NHS bursary and my experience with student finance in my 5th year, but honestly, it's been a real shock to consider how much less student finance I will be getting in my final year of uni. And it's really important to consider as well that that money isn't just lasting you an academic year like you're used to, I suppose. You'll have I'm probably going to have higher rent to pay when I graduate, when I move out, because I'll be living by myself. And you're going to have to pay quite a few fees out of pocket before you even get that first paycheck, which will probably be in September after starting your foundation job. So thinking about all of that has been really eye-opening, trying to have savings, and even now thinking later down the line how I'm going to buy a house and get on the property ladder. It's a lot to consider, and I think they're things that 18-year-olds don't think about because you just think that everything's going to be okay and everything's going to work out. A lot of us, before we came to university, we were told we were guaranteed jobs and guaranteed job progression in the NHS, but unfortunately that's looking less and less like the case, with hundreds of students being waitlisted for places for the foundation programme. Sometimes it does feel like quite a bleak place for medical students. And I'm saying this as someone who really loves medicine. I love my course, I love what I do, and I can't wait to work as a doctor. but it would be disingenuous if I didn't say those sorts of things, and seeing those things got me down. And particularly for working class students, it's that much harder to get a foot up and that much harder to take that next step. You might not have someone to help fund you in your final year of medical school, so you have to work. And that does disadvantage working class students, particularly if you have to work loads of hours a week just to fund yourself, because that means that's less time that you're spending revising, and not even that, but just doing fun things with your friends or your family. And I know that it's not only working class students who experience this, but they are more likely to be disproportionately affected by the lack of income in fifth year, and from fourth year for foundation year students, and for their whole course for graduate entry medics. As so many people say, widening participation doesn't just end at the door with medical school, it's something that goes way into you actually practicing as a doctor. And that's something that I never thought about. And I know that there are bursaries and prizes available for medical students, but a lot of these won't actually fund the discrepancy in the student finance that you'll get in your final year. And I know that there are options, but I also don't think that working class students should have to rely on being exceptional in order to get extra funding to survive at medical school. Even things like paying for stethoscopes, revision resources, you don't think about when you come to medical school. I didn't realise how expensive my first stethoscope was going to be. I didn't realise that I'd have to buy PassMed and QuesMed, Geeky Medic subscriptions. And I know all these things are optional, but they do really help you during your time at medical school. I'm really lucky to get the core bursary from the University of Nottingham, which has helped support me during my time at medical school. But honestly, I think that a lot more needs to be done to support working class students and working class doctors in the UK at the moment. We need to make the playing field a bit more level so that everyone has a chance to show what a brilliant doctor they can be. And I know it seems like a challenge that's insurmountable and that as medical students we can't do anything about, but there are things that you can do to show people that working class students can become doctors. If you are a working class medical student, why not go back to your school and tell them about what you've been doing? It's so important to see representation in the places that you want to be, because then it feels that a little bit more attainable. Don't be scared to share your achievements and show everyone what you've done. You should be so proud of yourself for getting into medical school or graduating as a doctor. As always, you can join campaigns lobbying for better conditions for medical schools and doctors. You can also lobby for better conditions for medical students and doctors. So there's campaigns such as the Livable NHS Bursary and all the work that the BMA is doing to make conditions better for medical students and doctors. That's not the end. Your university might have boards where you can discuss about issues within the medical school and raise the profile of problems particularly affecting working class students or students from lower income backgrounds, and lobby your university to make changes to support them. But that's a lot of work and it's a steep hill to climb, I definitely understand. So even just bringing awareness to the issue and talking to people about it and changing people's perspectives is enough. I don't really know what I plan to happen with this video. I just felt like I needed to talk about the topic once I saw that headline, because it really was shocking to me. And I think a lot of people would be shocked to actually learn about that statistic. So if you are a working class or lower income student, or you are from a lower income or working class background as a doctor, I'd love to hear your stories about what you've been doing at medical school, about how you've been coping, and any challenges that you might have faced. I also want to hear your stories of successes too, because it's so impressive to see you at medical school or as a doctor thriving. If you like this video and you want to see a little bit more about the work that I'm doing, other things that I talk about, then you can subscribe to this channel, or you can reach out to me on Instagram at Aisia Lea.